Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Must Play, a Fair Wagers golf podcast where we evaluate the country's most talked about golf courses to determine if they are truly a must play. I'm Shawn Massey.
I'm T.J. Van Gunten.
And today we're discussing a San Diego classic, the beautiful Coronado Golf Course. And our guest this week is Alissa Kacar, also known as New Lady Golfer on Instagram, a local TV host and golf ambassador in San Diego. Alissa, welcome to the pod.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat all things Coronado Golf Course today.
So are we. But first, I think some congratulations are in order because I think we're speaking to the Crystal Cup Championship from the Santa Luz member guests yesterday.
Yes, it was really fun. Sophia, who is a long drive competitor, was my partner, and we won the Emerald Division, which is the highest, the lowest handicap players division, and we were the net champions. So it was a very special moment for us. I'm very happy and very proud.
What was the winning score?
We shot, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with the format. It was called an eclectic. So have you guys heard of that before?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say Shawn probably has. He's our resident golf nerd.
Yeah. So I'd never played that before. So it's actually really cool. You take your best ball score from the first day between the two of you. You have a gross and net score. And then the second day, you're basically just trying to improve your score on each hole. So you can really only improve on the second day. So we shot a net 60 across the 2 days.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, we played some good golf. You know, I'd never done a competition like that where you had to like play well 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
So it was a good challenge mentally and for my golf game. So I'm really happy with the outcome.
Okay, so Santa Luz obviously is a beautiful course. But speaking of beautiful courses, I would love to talk Coronado. I know you were excited to kind of chat about that today.
Oh,
Where do you feel like this sits in San Diego golf, or what do you want people to know about the course?
When I get asked a lot about San Diego golf and people coming into town and the courses that they need to play, and Coronado is always in the top 4 of my recommendations because number one, the views are incredible. It's a great price. And it's what I like to call golfer friendly, meaning it's forgiving and you can go there not having played it before and still shoot a good score.
I have all those in my goods. So
I was going to say, I literally think she just read my entire list of pros off. Just right off the top. No. We're still going to talk about them and elaborate on them.
Same page, so it has to be true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. I feel the exact same way. Do you remember when you first played this course? Was it like kind of a while ago or?
I mean, I've played it last year a couple times, but so I'm now a little over 5 years into playing golf. And when I first moved to San Diego from New Jersey, I was living downtown, and Coronado is just a straight shot right across the bridge. So it was very close, very easy to get to. And like I said, when I was starting out, it was a great course for me, like a good place for me to go to play 18 holes. It was going to challenge me, but not beat me up to make it be so hard.
Right.
So I played it a lot more at the beginning of my journey. And now I live up in North County, so it's a little bit further away. Plus, I'm sure we'll get to this a little bit later, but tee times and stuff can be hard to come by just because it is so popular. So I don't play it as much as I would like to, and I'd like to play it more just because it's such a great course.
Yeah. We just tried to play last week when I was out there because I live in Arizona, and I think TJ tried 5 different methods to even get a tee time: calling, showing up, like booking online.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
harder to get a tee time there than it is at Torrey Pines.
Yeah,
that was one of my things. We put the other course that we played that week in lieu. We ended up playing the Crossings in lieu of Coronado, but we did play Torrey, and we had 0 issue booking Torrey well in advance. And the Coronado thing was safe to say a nightmare to book.
Yeah. I think they like reserve tee times too for like the locals over there, and it's a very tight knit community as far as getting access to tee times. And it does obviously help to know somebody. Obviously, being involved in the San Diego golf space, that does help a little bit, but it's still very challenging.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, so I remember when I did get to play this finally, I was putting probably a little too much emphasis on what I thought was going to be like, I'm going to get the bay views, I'm going to get the weather, it's Coronado, so I already know what I'm getting from the course, or from at least the island, And I had a high bar set for the course because I had a really hard time getting on.
Yeah.
And I was like, this better be worth it. And I think everything you said at the top is exactly true. It was gorgeous. It was gettable. It was a fun place. We're going to talk about this probably in a little bit, but it was a great course to stay at after round. Like I enjoyed that patio.
Yeah, it's great. And the food's really good.
Yeah, that restaurant was really good too. So it definitely lived up to the standard I had set for it. TJ, what was your first time?
Yeah, I actually played it last year for the first time. I just moved out here 3 years ago, so I've only been here for a little bit, and only picked up golf, I think, like 2, or re-picked up golf. And I played it with Alex while he was in town, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to play Coronado while I'm in town." And I think we managed to snag just the 2 of us. It's a little easier to get on there, like a twilight tea time. But yeah, like almost 360 views of the bay are very hard to come by. I will say it's not as picturesque as maybe Torrey Pines is, but it's different, right? It's a different style, of course. It's still municipal style, but what the vibe that they're putting out there is going to be a lot different because it's not ever a tournament course. But yeah, you can't beat like how affordable it is for it being in San Diego. And then also just the views that you're going to get. The finishing 3 holes as you just wind your way around the outside of the island is super cool. And it's one of those things that I didn't even know was there as a kid when we would come and we would go to Coronado. And I didn't even know that there was like a golf course there. And I was like, wait, they put a golf course on that tiny little island in the bay? So it's very cool.
Speaking of, you want to know, go ahead.
I was going to say, another thing I love about it is the walkability too. I am a golf cart rider through and through, but there's a few courses that when I'm playing them, I'm like, I'm walking that one. Torrey is that way, and Coronado. Like I love walking that course. And that's also something that I look forward to when I play a course like that, because I enjoy walking it versus taking the golf cart. So I get in my little bit more exercise and enjoy the walk. And it's just like so enjoyable to do that.
Do you feel like your game changes when you walk a course? Is there any
totally. I actually play a lot better. I think because I'm just kind of walking from my ball, like point it, like I'm just kind of in my own zone versus, sometimes in the golf cart, maybe you're more inclined to look at your phone or music, or you're chatting or talking versus just kind of, but I'm for both, like I still play. I've played well when I ride in a golf cart too, but I just noticed that it's just a different, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe mindset or perspective when you're playing and when you're walking.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, there's time to think about your shot. And Shawn and I are very often cart partners, even when we play with all of our buddies. Shawn and I just usually end up getting put in the same cart. And Shawn can attest to this, where like if one of us is having a bad round and we're in that cart together, the vibes are off. Like we are definitely impacted by each other's attitudes 100%. So I think like if you walk a course and you are just kind of like off doing your own thing, like if I'm playing bad, everything Shawn does bothers me. The way he drives the cart, whatever music he's got going on, whatever notifications are going off on his phone. If he asks me to get him yardage, everything's bothering me if I'm playing bad. So the few times I have played and walked, I 100% agree. Like, I think you get that time to mentally process it by yourself and kind of mentally reset. And you don't have anybody else or anything else that can potentially pile onto that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But like, that's one thing about with Sophia and I being partners and riding in the cart together. Like, she's so chill and so calm. She doesn't get flustered. Right. So it actually helps me because I feel like I can't go. I'm very emotional. And I feel like I can't go to the places, all the different places I want to go to, like emotionally, because she's just so chill and calm and non-reactionary. And I'm over here like wanting to freak out. So she actually pulls me back the other way. So I'm like, oh man, I can't like have a meltdown right now because she would look at me like I'm nuts. So I just like, all right, it actually calms me down. There's a few people I play with that are actually good for me to ride with. And then the other thing though, when I'm walking, generally I'll have somebody else keep score. So that way I'm not looking at my score on the steering wheel in the cart every hole versus just saying whoever's keeping score, I just tell them what I got each hole. And that way I'm not sitting there like calculating my strokes, counting up where I'm at. And, that really messes me up. It's like the curse, right? On the 18th hole, you need to get a par to break 80. And then, that's like a guaranteed double right there, especially for me. So that's another reason why I like walking. I have somebody else keep my score and I'm just focusing on one shot at a time.
I like that. I'm superstitious about counting my strokes before I finish a hole.
Okay.
And I hate thinking about what I need on the next hole. So I'm with you. If someone's doing that for me, I'm just play your swing, play your game, and that's it.
Exactly. It's so tempting. I'm like, do not add up your score. Do not add up your, don't know what you shot in the front. Do not it's an absolute curse for me. So I have to resist the urge to count up my score on the front nine before moving to the back. Oftentimes I'm just like, just don't even worry about it.
Likewise.
Okay, well, I think I would like to tell you both a little bit about the history of Coronado.
Let's do it.
Okay, before we get into that, though, we want to hear a little bit more about our sponsor for today's episode, Bird Darts.
Today's episode of Must Play is sponsored by Bird Darts Premium Golf Tees. Nothing relaxes me more on the course than tearing open a box and ripping a few bird darts with the boys. The 100% bamboo golf tees feature a clean design with marks to help you tee up your shots consistently, so your only swing thought is worrying about the cart girl who's watching you tee off. You can also use bird darts without worrying about harming the environment. They're biodegradable and the packaging is made from recycled materials. Head over to their website, birddarts.com, and use code FAIRWAGERS for 10% off today. Check out their new 4-packs they just dropped for you and all your boys.
Okay, Alissa, what do you know about the history of Coronado Golf Course?
Okay, so I'm not going to lie, I don't know that much, and I'm very excited to learn all of the interesting history about Coronado from you, Shawn.
Okay. If you've listened to any previous episodes, I'm a big history buff, a little bit of a nerd, and I like to do my own version of a Wikipedia page, essentially, for the course. But in my research for this one, I came across a little bit of I don't know if I should call it a scandal, but some misinformation out there. So I think this is going to be an educational one for everyone.
All right.
Exciting.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. Go to the website for Coronado Golf Course and you'll be greeted with this message right on the homepage. The Coronado Golf Course is one of the city of Coronado's most treasured assets. Opened in 1957, it is rated as one of the best public golf courses in the nation. Located just minutes from downtown San Diego over the iconic San Diego Coronado Bay Bridge, it offers beautiful San Diego harbor and downtown views and is sure to be a favorite destination for anyone who enjoys the game of golf. Now, while this description is accurate, it's also not entirely true. It would seem that whoever wrote this either doesn't know the full history or they don't want to tell you the full truth because it's a much longer story. I'm just sparking some drama here. There's really
okay.
Any drama.
I'm here. I'm in. I'm leaning in. Yeah.
All right. So how about we dive into that story? So Coronado didn't first open in 1957 like the website even says. In fact, it didn't even open in the 1900s. Golf Course was actually part of a larger scheme run by a man named E.S. Babcock, a retired railroad executive and business tycoon in the late 1800s. Babcock knew the San Diego region was in the midst of a real estate boom, and together with 4 other investors, bought Coronado Island and North Island, about 4,000 acres in total, for $110,000 in 1885.
Dang.
Just imagine what that would get you today.
Oh.
At the time, it was common for a California developer to build a grand hotel as a draw to an otherwise barren landscape. You can probably see where this is going. Coronado Island was bare, so Babcock decided to build the Hotel del Coronado. Plans were drawn up to build an all-wooden hotel that was so large that when it opened in 1888, it was actually the largest resort hotel in the world. In order to support such a large project, Babcock also needed to develop Coronado Island so that it could sustain travelers who wanted to venture out but not be reliant on having to get back across the bay to San Diego. So with his influence and network, he helped bring fresh water to the island, piped from the San Diego River under the bay, a ferry from the harbor, and electricity in the form of California's second largest power plant at the time. So now that the hotel was finished, Babcock needed to figure out a way to get guests to stay longer. Those wealthy enough to be in America's traveling class were fast taking up a game called golf. Private golf clubs with executive memberships were spreading like wildfire from New York to Chicago and Boston to Atlanta. In the winter, though, these upper crust members followed the sun to Florida or California, bringing with them a golf infatuation and a willingness to open up their pocketbooks. So Babcock was certain that a golf course was exactly what he needed to keep guests on the island longer, but finding a golf expert to the west of the Mississippi River was no easy task back then. Luckily for him, he was already employing a man named Thomas Tetley, who came over from England to live on Coronado and work for Babcock at the hotel. Tetley had been raised with the game of golf in Oxford and had earned his trust, so he confided his plans to open a course, and both men agreed this must happen as soon as possible before the next winter season when all the hotel got its visitors from the east and the Midwest. So a prime location was selected just south of the line between the ferry and the hotel on the most unused land occupying the southeast corner of Coronado. Tetley used his playing experience to lay out only 9 holes covering 2,730 yards. It included natural bunkers, road hazards. You went over a fence twice, and you went through eucalyptus and pepper trees while beginning and ending at the soon-to-be-constructed golf clubhouse. The 9-hole course was finished in 1898, and Babcock promptly secured press in every newspaper he could immediately across the country, boasting that their new course and resort was the best place to play in the West. People took the bait, and they came in droves. So at the end of December 1898, Coronado Golf was thriving, and so were average hotel stays at the Dell as a result. So it wasn't long until they realized that 18 holes was going to be necessary to satisfy the golfer's appetite. This time around, however, a Scotsman named Alex Smith would help build the new 18-hole course as, this is one of my favorite facts from the time, this guy Alex Smith shows up. Tetley says, "Hey, I want to play you in a match." Alex Smith dusts him by 6 strokes, and Tetley left Coronado Island for good after he reportedly said he couldn't stay as he was no longer the golf expert on Coronado Island.
Oh my gosh.
He literally ran him out of town by beating him by 6 strokes.
It's like they played for Pinks, but for Wright to design the course.
Yeah. So what was Babcock to do? He hired Alex Smith. And now a new 18 holes was being built on expanded land, and in 1901 it would open, measuring over 5,300 yards with all new turf. It was an instant hit with tourists and locals who would make the ferry ride across the bay with their clubs to play this new 18-hole course. The course would become the Hotel Dell's largest draw besides its glorious weather and sandy beaches, and would remain a huge moneymaker over the next few decades. Golf on Coronado Island would thrive long after Babcock passed away until, dun dun dun, World War II. So remember North Island, the other island Babcock had bought. A shallow bay actually separated North Island and Coronado Island called the Spanish Bight. But in World War II, the U.S. Navy filled it in, and they took over command of the North Island as a naval air station. War was on, and the U.S. needed San Diego Bay and Coronado as well for its ships and thousands of men. And the Navy decided it was imperative for the buildup of the Pacific Fleet to demolish the golf course and make way for camps and new Navy buildings. They essentially said, eminent domain, we need this. The course was now being lost to history and to the hotel. After the World War II, the Navy needed to deepen San Diego Bay to accommodate its ever larger ships, and so the subsequent dredging by the Army Corps of Engineers added 120 acres of new land to the Coronado coastline. Perfect for a golf course. Well, the city of San Diego says, well, we'll give you $1 million to build a new course on this literally new land. And Coronado residents got into the spirit, digging up 250 palm trees from their own yards to give the layout its tropical feel. In the original layout, the bay kissed the right side of the first fairway, and the course continued northeast, working like a horseshoe back towards Glorieta Bay and the Dell. But when the Coronado Bridge was finished in '69, more fill was added to make the second and third holes, and the course has seen very few major changes since. Back to the website today, which felt it was just much easier to tell you that Coronado Golf Course opened in 1957 and is one of the city of Coronado's most treasured assets, even giving the course a crown for its new logo. So you now know the truth goes much further back in time. And the next time you're out there and you walk into the pro shop, I want you to look them right in the eyes like Buddy the Elf and say, you sit on a throne of lies.
Yes. That's cool. What a cool backstory. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy to me. The Navy just said, no, this is ours. We
yeah. Yeah, I did know that Coronado, the resort, the Hotel Del, is the largest wooden structure that exists in the country, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Like they don't build them like that anymore because it's just a fire hazard. I'm sure you wouldn't get, insurance or whatever.
Yep. That main structure in the hotel that's got like the famous dome, there's not a single nail used in that structure. It's all joints with glue, essentially.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, it's a beautiful place.
For sure.
Yeah, if Coronado gets added to your list of must-play courses while you're in San Diego, do yourself a favor and also go down and check out the hotel while you're on the island. Like, drive down an hour earlier. If you're playing in the morning, stick around and go check out the hotel because it's very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of that, TJ, why don't you kick us off with some of the goods you have for Coronado?
Yeah, so we can obviously piggyback off of some of the things Alissa said earlier, but the views. I mean, it's San Diego. We get to have golf courses that are right on the Pacific. We boasted enough about Torrey, but Coronado also has its own reserve place for this, where you're not above the ocean. You're literally on the ocean. You are at sea level. Like we talked about, 16, 17, 18 that just wrap around the side of the bay are great. I think even from like on one, you can obviously look out and see the ocean. 1, 2, and 3, but 3 borders the ocean again. And all those are just, they're great holes. You get super cool views of the bridge when you're over there as well. I will say the one thing that does come with the views, and it's not necessarily a con, but I remember it completely threw me off guard when we played, and it was my first time playing, was the gunshots. The base is like right there across the bay, and like I looked at Alex and I was like, gunshots, yeah, and he was like, yeah, like the base is like right there, and I was like, yeah, that makes more sense. Like very similarly, we were playing the crossings up in Carlsbad the other day, which is very close to Camp Pendleton, and you can definitely hear explosions going off at Camp Pendleton when you play in Carlsbad.
Yeah. What about you, Alissa? What goods do you have for the course?
So again, I think it's a great price. The course is, every time I've played it, in really good shape. Everybody there's really friendly. So it has like a little bit more of a laid back SoCal vibe, which I think is really fun. I like the walkability of the course, and I like how golfer friendly it is, so that pretty much all levels of golfer can go there and enjoy, and still have a good round. So there's lots of stuff I like about it.
What do you think makes it golfer friendly? Is it like it's flat, or there's no OB like in some other courses and you can kind of chase your ball around a bit?
Yeah, exactly. Like you can basically miss right or left off the tee and still be fine. And then overall, like, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not like super long, even from further back tees. So as long as you're strategic with your distances off the tee, like, you can basically, it's gettable in that regard. And I just think that like the general layout of the holes, it's not like anything's crazy challenging out there. I think, what is it, the 9th hole, is it that par 3 hit over the water?
Yes, it's par 3. Yep.
Yeah. So it's not like crazy challenging. I'd imagine the slope is not super high. So, every now and then, if you're a golfer who plays a lot of hard golf courses, sometimes it's nice to have one that's not quite as hard and it's a little bit more straightforward. And then you have the either beginner golfers or higher handicap golfers that can go play that course and still enjoy it. And they're not losing a ton of balls, and they're not leaving the course discouraged. So that's what I mean when I say golfer friendly.
Yeah, I would agree with you with that. My first pro was very gettable course, which I think is exactly what you described. I also think the greens are decent size, and the course is in great shape every time I've been there.
Yep.
And I think that adds to it, because if you bring someone who struggles off the tee, and especially if they're missing the fairway, it's one thing if you're playing a course that has thick rough or whatever, but it's another thing if you're running into like dirt patches and things that are harder to hit out of. And I feel like here you usually have a decent lie no matter where you are, and you can just kind of get it back to the green.
Yeah, exactly.
I put great restaurant and patio, good vibes post round. I mean, it's hard to beat the weather and the location and just be like, this is, I'm on vacation almost. I feel like I should just like hang out here.
Yeah.
I put reasonable green fees for what it is. At some points it can get a lot because you have an advance fee for non-residents, so like $25.
Yeah.
So if you're playing like a round in the morning, which is like $99 plus 25, it's starting to get up there. But
okay, I didn't realize that. For some reason, I thought it was like 65.
if you play like midday or afternoon, it's 65. But sometimes mornings are like up to 99. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because it's one of those ones where we've talked about in the past where it starts to add up real quick where, you know, oh, yeah, it's only $65 to get on. And then you've got $25 for the advanced booking and then another 15 or 20 for the cart fee when you get there. And then all of a sudden your round price is, I won't say it's doubled, but exactly. Yeah. It's a little bit like Tory. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of the same things, Sean. I had, beginner friendly golf course. It's very, I don't know if it's technically a muni because I don't know if it's owned by the city or not, but it is now. It is now. Okay. Yeah. So very municipal style golf course, fairways that run right next to each other. Like Alissa said, you can go left, you can go right. You're probably going to find your ball and it's going to be okay. But I do think that where it's also a pro is that you do have to think about some shot shapes when you are playing out there. Like 13's a par 5 and it's shaped like a boomerang. It's that hard dog leg right. It's not a 90.
Yeah.
And like, if you really wanted to be cool, you could play it onto like the fairway next to it and have like a nice, easy, like, but you don't want to be like that guy who like, well, the pro move here is to drive over onto this fairway, ruin two people's rounds by you driving out to your fairway so that you can have an eagle look.
Yeah.
But it's not like Tory where we talked about, we kind of got into Tory a little bit of like, yeah, I'm just going to hit driver on every par 4 and every par 5. So I think out there, you've got to think about it a little bit more strategically, which I also think helps some beginners as well. Like hand up as a high handicapper, I think it does benefit me sometimes to actually have to think about like, okay, what kind of number do I want on this approach? Or should I not be trying to hope that my driver finally goes straight on this par 5?
Yeah. I know exactly which hole you're talking about too.
Yeah. It's like 250 out to like the turn. So it's like, you can play it but then you're still going to have like another, like, I think it's like another like 230 in.
Yeah.
But it's tough also because if you're someone who doesn't hit it 250 out from like, you know, I think the whites or whatever, you're going to be left with a very interesting second shot trying to cut that corner.
Yeah.
But I appreciate all the people who are not just hitting it onto the other fairway.
Yeah, for sure.
Good on you.
Okay. What about the bads for Coronado? Unfortunately, we have to be balanced here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hard to get a tee time. That I would play it so much more, but like, I mean, the only reason I've been able to play it the last few times I have is because I know somebody who works there. And again, if we can't text them last minute. We have to ask them like still a little bit in advance, and they're obviously willing to help. But I mean, it's just that hard to get a tee time.
Is it because of the tournaments they hold, like that blocks a lot of times, or is it just so popular that
I think so. I honestly have no idea. And I don't even know how their system works. Like I know at Tory, the tee times open up on like Tuesdays for the following week or whatever. I think it's something very similar to that. And like I said, I think they do block or give residents of Coronado first look at the tee sheet before it opens up to everybody else. So you'd imagine that with its popularity, that a lot of the good tee times and the ideal times are going to be snatched up first.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that us, you know, regulars don't quite know about over there.
Yeah. Here's the process of how we went about trying to book that tee time when all the guys were in town. They have the advance like 8 to 14 days out booking.
Okay.
Shawn and another buddy stayed up until midnight the day where the tee times release. I actually don't think that they open up at midnight. I think they might open up at like 5 a.m. or 7 a.m., Shawn. I think that's maybe why you guys didn't get any, but it's not communicated well anywhere. Then they open up resident tee times 7 days before. So there's probably a decent block there. Okay. And we're already excluding whatever tournaments are going on that day. We were trying to play also on a Tuesday, mind you. Like, so this, I didn't think it would be this difficult. Then I got a tip from a buddy who lives out here who knows a buddy who says, oh yeah, he knows like the guaranteed way to get on at Coronado, like no problem. So I hold out. I have this conversation with this guy, and I'd already actually reached out to like the San Diego Facebook group, San Diego Golf Facebook group. I'm like, anyone have any tips? Here's the bona fide way to get a tee time at Coronado: is you go out to the course, 2 days beforehand at 5 a.m. when the course opens, and these guys sit out there with their chairs out by the starters shack or whatever it is, and wait for tee times 2 days in advance to get their tee times.
That's insane.
I am a fellow North County resident. So that is not something that is feasible for me to drive all the way down to Coronado and he said, he was like, yeah, you know, if you want to just be safe, get there at like 3:45, like a good hour before it gets open. Go out there, put your chair out there in the line, and then maybe go back, chill into your car, listen to a podcast, take a nap. And I was like, yeah, I don't have time for this. So
nor do I want to do that.
Nor do I want to do that.
I'm not doing that.
There's very few things in life I'm willing to do that for, and that's not one of them.
I was going to say, it's not like, I mean, I don't know.
Maybe if I was still like 20 and single and I was like, yeah, screw it, I'll wait out there for my bros. But like, there's no chance I'm doing that right now.
If I lived on the island, but I also would have access to the resident rate.
Yeah.
If I lived maybe just across, like in downtown or something, like maybe there's a chance that I would be like, you know what? Maybe I'll just get up early tomorrow and do this for the boys. Or maybe you were on a bender on a Friday night and you go for Saturday. you just roll right into it. And then you just Uber home and go to bed. But like when we talk about it being like difficult, and like we talked about Torrey sometimes being tough, like this is exponentially harder than getting on Torrey Pines. Also, obviously, singles not included. Singles always are the exception to the rule here. And in most courses where, you know, I think I had a buddy who walked out to Torrey on Sunday and got on within like an hour on a Sunday morning. So I will also say, speaking of the bridge, sometimes this course can be difficult to get to. Depending upon what time of day you are trying to cross the bridge at, or heaven forbid, someone gets in an accident on the bridge, you can definitely be very late for a tee time, or be very late coming back across. We talk about that in the Marshall test of, can you make it back within a reasonable amount of time? And sometimes getting off the island is almost equally as hard as getting on the island.
Luckily, I've never had that happen to me, have a tough time getting on or off. So I've never had that experience, but I could see that basically aside from the water, there's one way on and one way off. So
or you're driving down to Imperial Beach through the Strand.
True. They have the one way off through the Strand.
I have 4 bads here, and 3 of them are tied to trying to get on to the course. I'm with you guys. Hard to get a tee time, advanced booking fee, and all the tournaments they have make it super hard to get on. Sometimes it could be slow play if there's tournaments, but generally not an issue. My 4th bad is not tied to either of those things, and that's the flatness of the land makes the holes run together sometimes in my memory, where I'm like, unless the hole does something, I'm like, oh, is that like 3, or is that, I can't remember. Actually, 3 is a bad example because it's along the water, but some of the other ones I just like can't remember quite because they're just not as memorable as, like, I hate to compare it to Torrey again, but there's holes out there where you're like, I know exactly in my mind what that was. Here they kind of run together a little bit.
Exactly.
It's just a pretty straight shot par 4.
It's not
like a tiny little bend.
It's not like full of the bells and whistles, you know. It's like just a very straightforward golf course.
But that's okay for beginning golfers, like you said.
Absolutely,
so it's a perfect place to go.
I had one other con. The practice facilities aren't necessarily great. It's mats, and necessarily I don't hate mats. It's just a little unkept. And then I think it also runs into the same issue that a lot of golf courses run into, where it becomes the public range for anyone who lives on Coronado Island. So you might be trying to warm up for a tee time, and some other guy might just be wasting 2 hours banging 75 balls, and he's going to take his sweet time doing it. And you're at his will while you're trying to maybe just get warmed up for a round and only hit 20 balls.
Only 75 balls? You should see guys out by me got 2 large buckets.
It happened the other day when we were at Torrey, where there were some guys out there, and I was like, brother, like there's 2 18-hole golf courses here. Like, you can't just be chilling like this.
Yeah. The range there is so small though. Like, there's not that many stalls at Torrey, and there's not that many stalls at Coronado.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like, and plus at Torrey you have to drive all the way over to the side, and it's like you gotta get there like way early to do that.
It's one of Shawn's biggest pet peeves is having to drive far away to go to the range.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. TJ's a big practice guy. I'm more of a I practice sometimes, but mostly short game stuff before the round. For me, I'm a big convenience guy. So like, is it hard? Am I going to like have to try and grab a drink from the place like 20 minutes before because there might be a line or it might take a while to make? And then I'm like, do I have time? Whereas like some courses where it's like, oh, it's right next to the first hole. You just like, not a big deal. And you're going to the tee box. I like that kind of stuff. I live here in Arizona, like some courses out in Scottsdale and whatnot. It's like, okay, do you guys know where you're going? Because you're going to be making a right, then a left, then a right, then a right. And you're going to go under a bridge, and then you're going to see a starter. You're going to ask for a guy named Hank. And it's like,
I know exactly what course you're talking about. I know exactly what course you're talking about right now.
Yeah, you know. Anyways, okay, any other bads or goods?
I mean, overall, I think it's great.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see if it's great.
That's right. We got to do this. We got to see if it really passes the test.
Okay. So before we get into the must play test, we're going to hear once more about our sponsor for today's episode, Bird Darts.
Yeah. So if you listen to our most recent San Diego based episode, Balboa, you probably heard us talk about Bird Darts and their new 4-pack option that they've got that I've got right here in my hand. Newsflash, they're out. The guys over at Bird Darts, or I guess the guy, Brett, was kind enough to send us a nice little care package for our boys trip that we had last weekend while the guys were in town. So all the boys got their chance to get their hands on the new 4-packs. And Shawn, you said that every time you bring Bird Darts out of your bag, you're getting questions pretty much all the time.
Yeah, because I put them in the pocket on the front. So when I pull one out, I pull the whole box out, which, by the way, is nice in itself that I don't have to grab my hand into a jumble of teas. And when I pull it out, I usually get someone going, oh, lighten one up, or some like reference to cigarettes, which is exactly what I want, because then I can turn easily product placement and be like, no, it's actually cool tea called Bird Darts. Pull one out. I usually fling them one, and then they're like, that's sick. And then I watch them like kind of look at the box and everything else. So it's kind of a fun little, not party trick per se, but like a fun little thing to pull out whenever you're on the tee box and you're playing with a rando.
Yeah, I will say the attention to detail of the packaging and the aesthetic also helps it go a long way. I know they've got some other competitors in the space currently that are pretty much just ripping off existing cigarette brands for their designs. But I do like that Bird Darts look a little bit more elegant, much more put together. And then also, like, if you want to go and make your own and you want that put together nice feel, they do co-branding. So I know Brett's got a lot of things in the works with some other brands, golf courses. I think he's got like some corporate events that he's even cooking up right now, where he's got a lot of designs kind of in the hopper. And don't think that your company is too small or too big for him to work with you. Please, like, go reach out to him. They can mock some stuff up really quick and just figure out what the minimum order quantity is for you guys and get some cool stuff for maybe your next golf event. Or if you've got, a lot of people in your company who just happen to be golfers who would like to maybe rep your brand, but on some tees, like hand up. I love just wearing things that my company sells sometimes because I like repping my company. So if you're one of those guys, definitely go reach out to the guys over at Bird Darts. And if you want to go reach out to them, it's birddarts.com. It's not spelt weird, but I will spell it out. BIRDDARTS.com. And actually right now, I think we're still running a 10% off discount if you just use code FAIRWAGERS.
Let's get into the must play test. So TJ and I have devised an objective test of 10 questions to determine if a golf course is a must play. The course must score a 6 out of 10 to be up for debate, or a 7 out of 10 or higher to automatically earn the coveted must play status. Anything lower than a 6 out of 10 is a should play or less.
Okay.
All right. So question 1, the Augusta test. Is this course easy to get a tee time on? Does it have a straightforward booking process, and are there times available the week of intended play? Should we just play back everything?
Is it just yes or no?
It's pass or fail.
Pass or fail.
I think it's fail.
It's definitely a fail. I was going to be like, why are we even reading the Augusta test?
I was a teacher. I was a teacher for 10 years. So I feel bad even using the word fail. I really like because it just feels bad.
No. When we do this test, there's some courses that in your mind, you're like, oh, it's a for sure pass. And then you get to it and it turns out to be a 6 or a 5 and it's right on the cusp. And we purposely chose questions that try and balance out the whole golf experience versus just the course. Okay. Yeah. So I think you'll do well on this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So fail.
Fail. 0 for 1.
Yeah.
Question 2, the bang for your buck test. Is this golf course worth the rate you pay? Do you feel like this course is a good value during peak season?
Pass.
I'm a pass as well. I think it's pretty reasonable rates for San Diego and for anywhere. Personally. TJ?
Yeah, I was kind of on the fence here just because of the early booking fee, then plus the cart fee. But I think I'm also probably a little spoiled by the Torrey resident rate. And knowing like it kind of, I have to remove those rose tinted lenses when I look at something like this. And if you're someone who's coming in from out of town and it's less than $100 to play here and you're going to get to stare at the ocean for most of your round, it's a really good price.
Yeah, because for Torrey, non-resident, and if you book in advance, it's $300, and that's not with a cart fee. So like it's Coronado. You said the advance booking is $30.
I think it's $25 when I looked at it.
Okay, so it's like a third. It's like a third of the rate of Torrey, right? It would be roughly.
Yeah.
Okay, so but I'm with you. Like that's once you're over $100 and you're starting to get into that 125 range, you start to be like.
There's definitely some other courses in San Diego that charge 120, 140. And every time I play there, I'm like, this course is not worth the $120 that they charge. Correct. They charge that because it's attached to a hotel or,
Yeah. So I'm going to still go with pass for Coronado.
So am I.
Yep. Likewise.
All right. 1 for 2. Question 3, the Iverson test. Does this course have good practice facilities? Would you spend time warming up or just head for the bar before the round?
Are we talking about practice? Talking about practice, right?
I mean, the putting green is nice. That putting green they have out the back off the restaurant is nice. But the range it's not going to motivate me to want to get there and really warm up and hit balls before I play. I'd rather just be like, I'd rather go hit some putts and then take a breakfast ball on the first tee.
I'm with you. That's exactly what I would do. My move when I was there was, okay, drink, putts. Oh, I need a breakfast ball. And then I'm off. Round started. That's it.
Yeah. Well, for the guy who habitually always practices, this is more of a, we'll do it live type situation where I'm not going to try and figure it out. So it's going to be it's a fail for me.
Yeah. That says everything from you. I feel like.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So, I think, oh man, this is so, I hate saying the word fail. It's just,
does this feel like we're failing a student of yours or something?
It does not pass. How about
that?
Yes. It does not pass.
All right. I'll just get used to it. It's a fail on that one for me.
Yeah. All right. 1 for 3. Question 4, the Jonesy test, named after our buddy Chris Jones, the merch king. Could you see yourself spending $100 on merch in their pro shop? Do they have a logo or apparel worth wearing?
That's a good question. I have a couple hats from them.
Which just a couple could rack you up to like 60.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not going in there and spending $100 in the pro shop.
Yeah, it's tough on this one because I do kind of like the simplicity of the logo.
Yeah.
For
it's not a knock to the logo.
No. Like for anyone who's maybe at home and watching, and if you can see it, it's a C with a crown and 2 golf clubs. It's pretty simplistic. I kind of like it. They do have a decent sized pro shop, so there's definitely some options in there. But I don't think that they're going to carry necessarily anything that you like have to buy.
Correct. And like, for example, I'm not even, me as a San Diego resident, I'm not even spending $100 in the Torrey Pines Pro Shop unless I'm buying gifts for somebody, you know?
Oh, I am.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean, right? Like I went to play Pinehurst before the US Open.
Yeah.
Believe me, I spent more than $100, you know, but like,
Yeah.
I'm probably not, even as a resident here in San Diego, I'm not going to necessarily be going into the Torrey Pro Shop. Now, if I was visiting from out of town, like at Pebble Beach, I'm spending a lot of money. Pinehurst, spending a lot of money. So I can see if I'm answering the question based on somebody coming from out of town and playing this course and spending money versus myself, it might be a different answer.
Well, I would like your answer for that, because this test is geared towards people who are thinking about the area. So in this case, larger than Coronado, let's just call it San Diego. And they're saying, oh, is this golf course one of the must plays in San Diego? So you're taking the lens of someone visiting most of the time.
Yeah.
So would they spend $100, you think, to like memorialize the round at Coronado, or they've got a logo or merch there that they would do that? It still can be a does not pass for you.
I know my answer.
What's your answer, TJ?
You go first, TJ.
It's going to be a no, because I think that you should save that $100 to buy more merch at Torrey if you're coming from out of town.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, it's not going to be, I'm not going to need to bring souvenirs home from the pro shop from my round. This course.
Yeah.
That's so now you know my answer.
1 for 4, not a great start for Coronado.
I saw this going way differently. I'm not gonna lie. Test, but.
I think it's gonna do good on the back half.
All right. Let's get to the back 9 here already.
Yeah. Question 5, the buzzworthy test. Are there multiple holes worth talking about? Does this course have more than one hole that a group would immediately want to go play again? I interpret this test also as like you got off the course and like, oh, I want that one back. Like, are there multiple holes where you would like to go play in because it was a good view or a good challenge or whatever the case is?
Yeah, I think people would enjoy enough the view of the water and as a whole. Like, I don't think they would be like pinpointing maybe multiple holes that they were like, but like, for example, at Torrey, right? You're like, oh my God, hole 3 on the South course. Like, if you're going to remember it. And like, when I take people to play it, it's like, they get a par on that hole and they're like, I don't even care about the rest of the round. I just want to get a par on that hole. I don't think Coronado has that one hole, but the course as a whole, they would be like, oh man, the views were so good from like the last 3 holes, you know, like, I don't think there's one standout hole, but I think the course as a whole, people would be like, that was awesome. I love the view. We played at sunset, the view of the bridge, you know, there would be enough talk like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think,
pass.
yeah, I think the front 9, you've got like 3 that runs along the water. I think 4 through 8 are kind of forgettable. 9's kind of your standard shot over the water, not too far. Like it's like a 170-yard shot, but it's only 140 to clear the water. So even if you hit it a little fat, you're still probably going to get it there. But I think the course really offers a lot of opportunity with like I talked about 13, the par 5. You can play that a handful of different ways. Or if you do hit the drive right and then you do have like a long enough 3-wood in, you do have a good shot at getting an eagle there. And then from 15, 16, 17, and 18, like 15, that is that par 3 that plays towards the harbor. I think that's a very nice looking tee shot. And then obviously just the finishing 3 holes all the way wrapping around the island. Those are all going to be really cool. And that's going to be something that definitely after you finish your round, you're like, if we had to go out and do a playoff and do a 3-hole playoff, 16, 17, 18 is pretty cool for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's a pass.
Okay, my vote doesn't matter then, but I'm a pass as well. I think I take it the same way with the finishing holes being, I want to go start back at 16 or 15 and go that stretch again. So I'm a pass. Okay, so 2 for 5. Question 6. We call this the glizzy test. Does this course have good food at the turn? Are you eating here or packing your own snacks? Alissa, this is turn specific, so not post round food, but is there enough food here to carry you on throughout your round?
Yeah, I would say so. People don't seem too hard to please out, on the golf course. I personally like to bring my own food and snacks in that regard. But yeah, they have plenty of options at the turn to get some food and get a snack. So pass.
You're proud for the pass, aren't you? I agree. I am pretty easy to please on the turn. However, if it's just a hot dog or something, I usually fail this test. However, I thought there was enough here to where I was like, oh, there's a couple options.
Yeah.
And I could get a drink if I wanted to. The cool thing about Coronado is that it has great beer selection generally because of all the, local aspect of the island. And I'm a big Coronado Brewing fan too, and they had a bunch of stuff on tap. So I was a fan of this test. So I'm a pass.
Perfect.
Yeah. Likewise, I think so far any course that pretty much brings you past the clubhouse / restaurant at the turn generally has better food options if they have a restaurant. So you just get kind of like the offshoot of what's going on at the kitchen. So this one does that, and it does pass.
Okay. 3 for 6. It's coming back.
It's coming around. It's coming
There's
around.
4 more questions. It needs to ace 3 of these in order to be up for debate.
Okay.
So question 7, the Marshall test. Does this course have a decent pace of play? Can you rely on a relatively quick round here if you have somewhere to be after?
I think it has a very standard pace of play. For me, it's never stood out as slow. I wouldn't say, if you want to zip around, you're going to need to be like one of the first few groups out if that's your jam. But generally, like I'm looking to play under 4.5 hours and under, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. TJ, you're smiling because I think you're going the other way.
It's the plight of like California is we've become so used to 4.5 hour rounds since I think everyone's probably talked about that since post COVID, where like now everywhere in California, like when we just played the crossings the other day, the little placard on the golf cart said that if you tee off past 10 a.m., you should expect a 4 hour and 45 minute round. And I think that feels so long to play around a golf sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I haven't personally ran into this, but I have heard a lot of people talking about it online is that they will also occasionally let out fivesomes. They do all have to be in a cart, but I also think that from the idea of the Marshall test and the optics of how that looks out on a course, if you see 5 people on a tee box in front of you, it's just going to feel slow regardless.
Yeah.
And I know that the pace of play issue is usually only beyond what you can see. You can really only see the group in front of you and the group behind you. And that's what determines how you feel about during your pace of play. But if I'm seeing a 5 in front of me, I'm probably going to get pretty annoyed. So I sadly think this is going to be a do not pass from me.
Okay, so I'm a tiebreaker here. Okay, hand up. I've only played this course a couple of times, but both times I played, I had a very average round. I think we played in 4 hour, 20 minutes or something to that degree. I have come to expect that out here. We get bachelor parties and bachelorette parties galore on the courses, and there's some courses that are known to be 5 hour plus rounds in Scottsdale and out here. And when I go to San Diego, I expect sometimes at Torrey, for example, a long round. We just played Torrey North, and we had one of the longest rounds we had in a while. There's not a single Marshall out at Torrey, by the way. I don't ever see a Marshall at Torrey, which generally is a good thing because we've talked about you're at Torrey Pines. Like, where else would you want to be? It's gorgeous out. Like, don't care about rushing. But at Coronado, I have seen them, and also I just feel like it's never been too long. So I'm going to pass this one. So I think we overrule you here, TJ.
That's fair. It happens.
Yeah. Okay, so 4 for 7. Question 8, the high handicapper test. Would a mid to high handicapper enjoy this course in typical conditions? Is it fair to all handicaps, and are the greens or pin positions fair?
Pass.
Strong pass.
Strong pass.
Very confident pass.
Yeah. We talked about it a lot in the pros section. Very beginner friendly. Lots of space to miss off the tee. And like you said, the greens are also a fairly decent size, so it's not going to be an issue if that's what causes you to be a high handicapper is around the greens.
Yep.
Okay, I agree.
5 for 8. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Question 9, the vibes test. Is this course worth staying at post round? Do they have a good restaurant or patio scene?
Pass.
I love the patio, but go ahead, Alissa, please.
Yeah, I've eaten there a few times after I've played. It has a nice view because it faces out towards the water, and I think it has a good little vibe. And pretty much from midday in through happy hour and sunset, so there's always a little bit of a buzz going on there, pretty much all days of the week. So that gets a thumbs up from me. Pass.
Have you ever done the brunch there? I've seen photos, but I've never done brunch.
No.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay. I'm a pass as well. I love this patio. There's not much to it, to be honest. Like it's a pretty simple patio, but again, you're in Coronado. Where else would you want to be? And it's just gorgeous out. And the service is great. I've always had great service at that restaurant, and the food's pretty decent. So
it's a pass for me as well. Just great views. If you need to roll a few putts after a round to settle any bets, the putting green's right there. It's lit up by the patio from the restaurant. You're not going to get much better.
That's a cool scene at sunset too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's officially up for debate. So in order to be a true must play, it's got to pass this last question. Question 10, the dime a dozen test. Is this course unique to the area, or could you get this golf experience somewhere else on your trip or visit?
I think it is. Well, now we have some nice history around it. I do think it's unique to the area, being the only course on Coronado. I don't want to misspeak. It's the only
sea and air, but that's
right. I was going to say I've played that one. But yeah, I think if you're going on a family vacation to Coronado and staying at the Hotel Del and you want to get a golf round in, you're going to look for the concierge to try to get you over and out on Coronado. So
go ahead, Alissa.
I think it is unique to the area for people that are visiting Coronado.
Yeah. But for San Diego,
yes, like it's tough. We have like Torrey Pines here, right? So it's like that course is always going to be the one. If you're coming to San Diego and you're asking me what course that is a must play and you have to play it, like it's just unfortunate to the other golf courses that we have a U.S. Open Championship course in San Diego.
Yeah.
Like that makes it a little bit tougher. So like if you have people who are coming in on business, they're staying downtown and they want to get a golf round in, and maybe it's like a mixed group, a mixed level, right, of golfers, you might not want to send that group to Torrey Pines, right? Like it's expensive. It's hard for people who are just your average social golfer. So you're going to push them somewhere else. And Coronado would be that great fallback option, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. TJ, I know which way you're headed, but I, once again, am going to come to her support here. Where else can you get a view of the bridge like that and be right next to all the boats on the bay in literally the heart of San Diego? I feel like I think the harbor is so cool right there, and the fact that you can play next to the hotel on that island next to the bridge for me is like, in San Diego there's so many other things, but after Torrey, I would rank this one pretty high up there in terms of like, if I'm coming from another state, what do I want? I want golf like this, as opposed to like Madeiras or something where I'm like, okay, it's beautiful, but like I have canyons and other golf where I live, for example, but like I don't have this. I can't get this anywhere else. And so that's why
the next closest golf course to Coronado, right? If like back to my scenario, if you have people coming in for business and staying downtown, your next option's probably Balboa.
Yeah.
So are you going to choose to send people to Coronado or send people to Balboa? That's my question to you, TJ.
She brings up a really good point. Probably knowing that we failed Balboa in terms of our test. I think I was potentially blinded a little bit by some recency and just only having blinders on to how difficult it is to get onto. but I don't think that should prevent a course from being a must play. I think, Augusta's pretty tough to get onto. That doesn't not make it a must play.
Yeah, exactly.
It actually almost on the inverse. It's very funny that if you fail the Augusta test, you lose a point towards must play. But chances are, if really hard to get on, it's probably a very must play worthy course. So I guess in the spirit of the question and the entire test, yes, there's only like really 2 courses where you're also going to get to play like right on the Pacific, and Coronado is one of them. So I will also pass this.
Let's go. Never a doubt.
I mean, I'm sending people, if it's between Coronado and Balboa, no disrespect to the city of San Diego and their municipal golf courses, but I'm picking to go play Coronado 10 out of 10 times.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
You heard it here first from New Lady Golfer on Instagram.
Hopefully nothing I've said will come back to get me in the community.
No. Speaking of, Alissa, I appreciate you being on the pod today. I mean, I think we did it together. We got Coronado to a 7 out of 10, so it is officially a must play on our test. But what about you? Where else can people find you online, or is there anything you want to plug before we go?
No, I'd just love for you guys to continue to follow my golf journey. There's always lots of fun milestones, and I get to travel and play a lot of cool courses all around the world. So I'd love for you guys to join along on the social media platforms at New Lady Golfer.
Sounds good. We will.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone who stuck around, and we'll see you next time.